After the whistle starts in Hollidaysburg, where Maddox Bainey threw to Cole DeLatre off of a Du Bois defender's hands. Let's watch that again in slow-mo. Look at that throw, just slipped through perfectly for the touchdown. But will that be the last of Hollidaysburg's magic? Hello and welcome back to After the Whistle. It's the second week of playoffs and our crews are just coming back from that game and more from around District 6. I'm Allie Winskowski.
And I'm Eric Morris. We'll bring you highlights from different class playoff games and a look at Penn State's whiteout game this weekend. Stay tuned for all that and more here on After the Whistle. Penn's Manor has lost to Northern Cambria for the last 2 years in a row, and the Comets came into tonight's game seeking revenge against the Colts. The Northern Cambria Colts came out in full force tonight, ready for a street fight, and they would start the night off strong with a 15-yard touchdown pass. Its quarterback Ty Dunn to wide receiver Daniel Farrell late in the first quarter, and a team party in the end zone. Even the Colts mascot gonna get into it with the cheerleaders on the sideline. Now later in the second, it's another big pass from Dum, this time to tight end Caleb Dolney. It's right down the numbers. They're gonna drag him down at the 12. The Colts trying to work their way into the end zone, but Reese Wagner would find a body as the Comets fight for their playoff hopes. Once you get to November football, it's do or die. Northern Cambria's quarterback and wide receiver had an electric connection tonight as Dum would find Farrell once again for another touchdown, sending the Colts into the half, leading 14-0. The Comets would try to fight back, but the Colts would come out on top once again, winning 27-7. And now while Penn's Manor season comes to an end, Northern Cambria's season will continue as they face off against the winner of Bishop Guilfoyle versus Claysburg Kimmel this Saturday.
The Bellwood-Antis Blue Devils head west to face the Cambria Heights Highlanders. Winner moves on to the District 6 2A championship. We'll start off with the coin toss and captain's handshakes, but early in the first quarter, the Blue Devils would start off hot, getting to Cambria Heights QB Isaac Wieland in the sack. And after a scoreless first, there would be a Cambria Heights safety as punter Holden Schreier fumbles it out of the end zone, making the score 2-0. Later, Wieland again tosses back to Steven Nellen, who airs it out, caught by Luke Mulroney on a play that would eventually get called back. Sticking with that theme, Wieland airs it out to Trey Tribus, who tries to make the catch, but is called back on a questionable offensive pass interference. It didn't matter though, as Wieland would finally make progress, taking the ball up the middle to score, making the score 8-0 after a missed extra point. After both teams had many plays called back thanks to flags, the Highlanders would go on to defeat the Blue Devils 15-8. With the loss, Bellwood-Antis' season comes to an end. Cambria Heights will play Richland next week in the District 6 2A championship.
The Marion Center Stingers and Richland Rams found themselves on a collision course entering Friday on a separate 3-game winning streaks. It's the Rams hosting the second-round playoff matchup. It was a windy night at Berlinger Stadium as the Stingers take on those Rams. It's the first possession of the game. It's Richland's Joe McEnany taking the handoff, going around the left side and taking it over the goal line and in for 6. Now Marion Center's turn. The Stingers at the goal line themselves, and Camden Rising fires it to Drew Runk for the touchdown. Their extra point try would be no good. Score remains at 7-6. Now Rams get the ball back, and it's Joe McEnany again, this time making the catch from Jacob Reagan to make it a 14-6 ball game. Later on in the second quarter, Cody Yeager, he's going to take the ball up the middle and fight through defenders for another Richland touchdown to make it a 21-14 ball game before halftime.
High-scoring game.
Yeah, for real. In the cold weather, too, the run games reign supreme. Richland would end up shutting out Marion Center in the second half and go on to win the 2A District 6 semifinals by a score of 35-14. A big day for McEnany and the Rams offense in that chilly environment. Richland would take on undefeated Cambria Heights for the 2A District 6 championship game next week. The location of that game is yet to be determined.
The Tyrone Golden Eagles headed over to Penn Cambria tonight for their first district championship game since the 2020 COVID-shortened season. They have not won a district championship since 2014. The Penn Cambria Panthers are currently 11-0 and ranked 7th in the state for 3A. Our reporter Sawyer Hadlam was on the scene.
Thanks, Allie. Tonight held a sense of deja vu, as for the second year in a row, we got a Tyrone-Penn-Cambria postseason matchup. Despite Tyrone's best efforts, it was Penn-Cambria that made history, winning their first division championship in school history. Here's a look at how they did it.
We knew what we had to do to come out with the win, and we've worked this whole week just staying focused and doing what we do, and we were able to execute and win.
We begin in the first quarter with Tyrone as quarterback Ashton Walk scrambles out of the pocket, cutting to the left down the sideline as he walks it in for 6. Into the third quarter, we come to a familiar face, Gavin Harold, who takes it up and through for his second touchdown of the night. He would add a 2-point conversion, putting PC up 16-14. Right back to it in the third, we see Tyrone driving until Penn-Cambria delivers a hit, and who but Gavin Harold scoops it up and takes it 40 yards all the way into the end zone.
It's a total team effort, and we're just happy, and we're not going to be satisfied, but we're going to definitely enjoy it.
While making history was certainly a momentous occasion for this Penn-Cambria football team, it'll be back to work in no time as they look to continue this winning streak next week, and we dive deeper into this electric postseason. With After the Whistle, I'm Sawyer Hadlam. Back to you in the studio.
Now let's take a look around some upcoming games around District 6 and see how state playoffs are going. Here are some familiar names that After the Whistle has seen before. Bishop McDevitt knocks off Conrad Reiser in an upset win 42-7. Manheim Township survives a close game against Cumberland Valley with a 14-7 win. Now on to District 12, where Lansdale Catholic beat Bristol by a score of 35-17. West Philadelphia shuts out Martin Luther King 18-0.
Let's come back home to District 6 and what will happen tomorrow. Claysburg-Kimmel will take on Bishop Guilfoyle at Hollidaysburg tomorrow at 7 p.m. And another Saturday matchup is Bellefonte taking on Juniata in Altoona at Mansion Park Stadium.
The Du Bois Beavers went on the road tonight to face the Hollidaysburg Golden Tigers. These two teams met just 2 weeks ago and will now face off for the District 6 5A championship. Santa Claus and Company is already just a month early, but they're going to get this one started with Hollidaysburg quarterback Maddox Bainey finding Cole Dulatre as the ball deflects off the defender's hands and is caught in the end zone for the 7-0 touchdown. Hollidaysburg in the red zone again as Bainey finds Jay Albarano but is met by Thatcher Hansley and loses the football, but the Golden Tigers are able to recover. Later in the drive, it's Bainey again handing off to Mitchell Baroner and another fumble by Hollidaysburg, but Baroner is able to recover their double lead 14-0. The Beavers now trying to dig their way out of a dam as QB Trey Wingard finds Carter Voss over 2 defenders in the end zone to cut the lead 14-7. Du Bois tried for a late comeback in the fourth, but it would not be enough as Hollidaysburg would come away with the close win 28-23. Du Bois' season is officially over, and Hollidaysburg will play the winner of Delaware Valley and Abington Heights.
Central Dauphin East entered the playoffs on a 3-game losing skid, but had last week off. Coming off of the bye, the Panthers traveled to Central York to play the 7-3 Central York Panthers. We kick things off in this battle of the Panthers, and CD East is going to punt to Central York. The punt returned by Dwayne Morgan for the long touchdown, putting Central York on the board first. You can see him weaving his way through the defenders and making it all the way to the crib. Now ball back in CD East's hands. It's Damaj Brown. He's going to complete the pass to Leon Parsons. He's going to get wrapped up and doesn't get far enough. The possession will eventually go back to Central York. It's tough defense when you're talking Central PA football. Central York near the goal line. Brooklyn Nace attempts a pass to Saxton Sechanik, but it's incomplete. Forced to attempt the field goal, and Matthew Parker knocks it in for Central York, increasing their lead. Ball back in CD East's hands. Brown's going to pass it to Parsons in the end zone, but the pass is broken up by Central York defenders and is incomplete, and CD East remains scoreless after that opening quarter. Central York now has the ball, and Brooklyn Nace hands it off to Legend Johnson, who evades tacklers and runs 20-plus yards down the field and into the end zone for another Central York touchdown. We get a look at our score. It's 19-0. Ball back in the hands of CD East. Brown completes a pass to Amir Lamel, but he's brought down before he can make a move downfield. Ball would go back to Central York. Central York's going to snap the ball. Brooklyn Nace is looking to pass but can't find anyone. He's going to keep it himself. Rush for over 10 yards downfield, secure the first down, and put the Panthers in field goal range. Central York is forced to settle for that field goal as Matthew Parker attempts his kick from near the 30-yard line. It comes up just short. It wouldn't matter. Central York is going to head into halftime with a 19-0 advantage, and the Panthers would only add to the lead, winning 47-14. The Panthers from Central York move on to play Wilson in the District 3 6A semifinals next week, and Central Dauphine's season ends on a 4-game slide with a final record of 7-4.
The State College Little Lions are coming off a bye week as they face McDowell at home. Our reporter Joey Draper was at their practice this week. Joey, what insight did you gain?
Well, Allie, last year it was a loss for the Little Lions, but they seek revenge on the team that kicked them out of the playoffs a year ago. The State College Little Lions season ended after a 47-20 loss to McDowell in Erie. However, the mood within the team is different this season as State High plays host at Memorial Field. The focus at State High's practice this week has been keeping their senior season alive as long as possible. Coach Matt Lintel has 31 seniors that will look to extend practice into next week with a good performance against McDowell tomorrow night. That chemistry has led to a 9-1 record with their lone loss coming against Harrisburg. Comparing last year's team to this year, you would expect State High to have the advantage. For the 31 seniors, this means more to them than just a game.
It means everything to our team. They kicked us out last year, all our seniors, we remember that, walking off their field, they were all celebrating, and we had to walk our seniors to the sideline for the last time, so it of course means something. Much of the team's success this season has come from dual threat wide receiver and cornerback Ty Salazar, who shared his secret to being a threat for opposition defenses.
The team's been doing this for the last 2 years, so we're kind of used to it at this point, but we're really looking to take the top off, but also take the short stuff. So, we got a game plan for all that. Like I said, we've been dealing with it for a couple years now, so we're ready for it. Head coach Matt Lintel's message to conclude practice yesterday was he wants to be here practicing on Monday afternoon, and he needs his guys to have that same feeling.
It's one play at a time. We want to win every play that we go out there, whether it's special teams, offense, or defense, and really just be in the moment.
Coach Lintel felt confident that as long as the Little Lions handled their business and took it one play at a time, they too could move on to the next round. It's going to be interesting to see what they do tonight. For After the Whistle, I'm Joey Draper. Back to you, Eric.
Thanks, Joey. Let's take a look at that game now to see if the Little Lions would get revenge after last year's 47-20 loss in the first round of the 6A bracket. Teams are going to meet at midfield before the game, exchange pleasantries, but believe me, there's no love lost between these two. State High is going to strike first with Lamar Wilson up the middle on a 22-yard run. It's 7-0 within just the first 7 minutes of the opening quarter. Now, start of the second quarter, it's Ty Salazar. He's going to go in motion, make the catch in traffic. He breaks away, and all the Trojans can do is wave goodbye to number 3. It's 78 yards to the house. The Little Lions up 21-0. Now, midway through the second quarter, it's 3rd and 23 for State High, and Eddie Corkery is going to find his best friend, Ty Salazar, down the field somewhere. He launches it, and he makes the catch, drags Trojan tacklers, and breaks free for another score, this one for 72 yards to make it 28-0.
All State High.
Later in the second quarter, Blaze Myers finds Caden Dodds near the goal line, but was it caught? Ruled a catch on the field, and fumble recovery in the end zone for State High, and Lamar Wilson would add another rushing touchdown from 3 yards out to put the Little Lions up as they go roaring into the locker room 35-0. State High would cruise in the second half with a running clock to take this one 35-7. The Little Lions knock off the Trojans for the 9th time in their 10 playoff meetings. McDowell's season comes to an end while State High will take on Williamsport next week. It was a revenge game for State College, but they were able to get the edge over McDowell for the win. Our reporter Harlan Pena was at the game tonight. Harlan, how were the Little Lions able to get this big victory?
Yeah, it was the latest episode of a regular playoff match for these two teams, and it started off quick, and it became one-sided, and it led to the 100th win for State High head coach Matt Lintel. The last time these teams played was last year's playoffs, and McDowell ended State High season. This year, it was very different as the Little Lions had it safely out of reach by halftime.
super excited to do it here at home, to have my family here, to do it in front of our stadium, and most importantly, to be with our kids and our coaching staff.
You saw the Little Lions run up the score, but let's talk defense. The Trojans only got into the red zone 3 times, and the Little Lions stopped them all 3 times, with a missed field goal and 2 turnovers in the first half.
We got one of the most sophisticated defenses in the state. I mean, my hardest opponent all week is going against them and compete on Tuesdays. So it's just the fact that we can go against each other and give each other the best look every single day, it means something.
2 weeks ago, State High faced Bishop McDevitt, and their defense gave up 55 points. They had a bye week to rest, and tonight they gave up 7 points late in the fourth quarter with the reserve players in the game.
It's amazing. I mean, these guys knocked us out last year, so this game was definitely circled on our schedule. And I think this is going to keep us rolling into the playoffs, and hopefully we'll take a good run.
Salazar had a game of his own. He scored 2 touchdowns over 70 yards, putting his career receiving yards at over 3,000.
That was kind of something in the back of my mind, so I was thinking about it. But, in the moment I wasn't, and then once I come to the sideline, it feels awesome. The Little Lions rewrote this chapter in their football history. The team hopes to keep this momentum as they move further into the playoffs. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Harlan. Stick around as we look at some final scores from other district playoffs around the state.
And coming up, we'll get a look at how Penn State is preparing for their annual whiteout game.
After the whistle!
Well, Allie, those student sections are fired up for some playoff football, so let's take a look at all the playoff brackets in District 6. Northern Cambria knocked off Penn's Manor to advance to the District 6 1A championship game next Saturday against the winner of Claysburg-Kimmel versus Bishop Guilfoyle. In Richland, they're going to face Cambria Heights next Friday for the District 6 2A championship.
Penn Cambria claims the District 6 3A title and will face either Brockway or Somerset in the first round of states next week. The District 4A title will be awarded at Mansion Park tomorrow as Bellefonte faces Juniata.
Hollidaysburg advances to states with a win and will face Abington Heights or Delaware Valley next week in the first round. In State College, they win the District 6 and 10 6A sub-regional and will face District 2 and 4 sub-regional champion Williamsport next week.
After their Ohio State loss, the Penn State Nittany Lions stay home as it is time for their official whiteout. Our reporter Sophia Miranda is in the studio with more. Sophia?
Ali, definitely not the outcome the Nittany Lions expected at a packed Beaver Stadium with Ohio State. However, they look to get back to their 1-0 mentality again.
Coming off their first loss of the season, Penn State will be in Beaver Stadium looking to get back on track for its annual whiteout game. The call for a whiteout energy game against Ohio State was put into proof when cornerback Zion Tracy scored a pick 6 right in the first minutes.
When any production comes out of the corner room, we're happy for our guys to we really worked all summer for it, especially with it being so much talent in that room. You just like to see everybody get their share of making a play. So I love it.
That was the only touchdown the Nittany Lions scored. Ohio State stopped them short of the goal line late in the fourth quarter with the chance to tie. The Buckeyes went on to win 20-13, with Penn State struggling on both sides of the ball.
In other ways, but getting our wide receivers more touches and more opportunities is important. But we also have to create more separation, make more contested catches, all those things. It's a combination of all of it.
For Tracy, Franklin says this performance is just a start for the young sophomore cornerback.
Always been a super athletic guy, a guy that we considered when we recruited him playing wide out, so he's got those types of ball skills. But I think you'll continue to see him trending in the right direction, just practicing and playing at a really high level right now with a ton of confidence.
The Blue and White says they are not looking back into the past and will focus their attention on the game this Saturday.
Get back right on track. Go 1-0 each week. We preach that a lot. Yeah, it gets old, but it's the best way to go about it. Can't win every game. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, and we're just going to try to come back this week and get back on the rail.
Whiteout energy will be a requirement once again.
For the whiteout game, Penn State will play the Washington Huskies, with kickoff set to be at 8 p.m. Ali and Eric, do you think Penn State will come out victorious?
You know, Sophia and Ali, I think they will. This team, tough loss last week, but they still have everything in front of them. You win the last 4, go 11-1, you'll probably host a playoff game in Beaver Stadium.
I agree with you. I just think they can't let that loss last week roll into next week.
Absolutely. Now we're going to head back to high school football, and let's get to our top 3 plays of the night. At number 3, we're going to have Hollidaysburg quarterback Maddox Bainey throwing over his left shoulder to Jay Albarano, who was quickly met by DuBois Thatcher Hansley, forcing the ball out with that hard hit. Nice forced fumble for the DuBois defense.
At number 2, it's a duo we all know well. Eddie Corkery uncorks one to Ty Salazar, who breaks a tackle. He's going to keep running and take it all the way to the house for 6.
And at number 1, we're going to go back to the cold and windy weather. Bainey once again throwing left, but the ball is almost intercepted, but Cole Delatre makes the diving catch for 6.
And that is all for District 6 football this week. For more updates about our show and coverage of games, follow us on our Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at ATWPSU. I'm Ali Winskowski.
And I'm Eric Morris. Tune in next week for more Penn State and high school games right here on After the Whistle.